Welcome to this explainer. There are very few moments in history that literally draw a line through the calendar, but September 11th did exactly that. There's the world before and the world after. Today, we're exploring the September 11 attacks, not just as a heartbreaking tragedy, but to really understand exactly how they permanently changed America and, honestly, the entire globe.
A single morning that changed history forever. It's almost impossible to overstate the gravity of September 11, 2001. For those who lived through it, the memories are permanently etched in their minds. And for those born after, well, it's the defining historical pivot that shaped the modern world they inherited. In this explainer, we're going to objectively look at the facts of that day, the immediate aftermath, and the massive, enduring impact it had on everything from how we travel to how nations interact on the global stage.
Part 1. The day the world changed. September 11, 2001. To truly understand the sweeping changes that followed, we first need to look at exactly who orchestrated this unprecedented event. The historical record clearly shows the attacks were coordinated by Al-Qaeda, an extremist network. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, this group had developed a highly organized international framework with the specific intent to target the United States. They took advantage of the openness of international travel and domestic aviation to orchestrate a synchronized hijacking. Grasping this organization's global reach at the time is absolutely crucial for understanding why America's response eventually required such a massive, worldwide restructuring of intelligence and defense.
Part 2. Timeline of the attacks. How the morning unfolded.
Let's walk through exactly how that morning unfolded, because the sheer scale and speed of these coordinated hijackings is something that still staggers historians today. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. Just 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 strikes the South Tower. At that exact moment, it became undeniably clear to the whole world that this wasn't some tragic accident, it was a deliberate attack. Then, at 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 strikes the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, targeting the very center of the U.S. military. Finally, at 10:03 a.m., after passengers bravely fought back against their hijackers, United Airlines Flight 93 crashes in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. In just over an hour and 15 minutes, the entire trajectory of modern history was completely rewritten.
Part 3. The immediate response, mobilization and heroism.
We really need to pause here on this number. 2,977. That is the staggering number of innocent lives lost that day. The human impact is profound and entirely heartbreaking. But, this number also represents immense selfless bravery. When thousands of people were desperately running away from the danger, first responders, firefighters, police officers, paramedics, and just ordinary citizens rushed directly into it. Honoring these victims and the absolute heroism of the first responders is essential to understanding the emotional core of the nation's response.
And that response wasn't just local or even domestic. We saw unprecedented global solidarity and immediate government mobilization. Emergency services deployed instantly across the nation. U.S. airspace was completely shut down, something that had never happened before. Internationally, countries around the globe offered overwhelming support, standing shoulder to shoulder with the United States. It was a moment of profound unity in the face of an unthinkable tragedy, setting the stage for the massive systemic shifts we're about to dive into.
Part 4. Security and the new normal. The pivot to modern life.
So let's connect the events of that Tuesday morning directly to the modern-day experiences you and I face right now. There is a stark, night-and-day contrast between pre- and post-9/11 travel. Before the attacks, families could literally walk you right up to the departure gate to say goodbye. There were minimal ID checks and just very basic metal detectors. It was a completely different era. The attacks led directly to the creation of the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration. Overnight, we saw the rollout of strict federal screening protocols, enhanced ID requirements, taking off your shoes, liquid restrictions, full-body scanners. The relaxed nature of flying was permanently replaced by a massive overhaul designed to ensure commercial aircraft could never, ever be used as weapons again.
But the changes went way higher than airport checkpoints. The Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, was created entirely after 9/11 to centralize and manage domestic national security. Think about this. It was the largest reorganization of the U.S. government since World War II. Multiple, disconnected agencies were brought under one massive umbrella with a single, overriding mission: to protect the homeland from future threats.
Part 5. Shifts in foreign policy, intelligence, and global strategy. The United States quickly realized that to prevent future attacks, its approach to the rest of the world had to drastically change. Let's break down these major systemic shifts.
First, we saw the launch of global counterterrorism campaigns, shifting the military focus toward dismantling extremist networks abroad. Second, there was a massive reorganization of U.S. intelligence agencies. Before 9/11, agencies like the FBI and CIA often operated in silos. After, there was a strict mandate to share information seamlessly. Third, we saw the implementation of new and sometimes highly debated surveillance and security policies. And finally, a heightened focus on international border security. The entire global approach to terrorism was permanently redefined.
Which naturally brings up a critical question. How did these sweeping policy changes redefine the balance between national security and everyday life? It's an incredibly complex issue, right? On one hand, a government's primary duty is to protect its citizens, and these massive systems were built specifically to prevent another 9/11. But on the other hand, it fundamentally altered privacy, surveillance, and the ease of our everyday activities. Finding that right balance is perhaps one of the most significant and heavily debated political legacies of the post-9/11 era.
Part 6. Legacy, Resilience, and Unity Moving Forward Together.
Moving beyond the policy and the politics, we have to look at the human element that endured. The systemic changes are visible everywhere, but the invisible changes to the American spirit are just as real. We are left with a lasting legacy of national resilience and deep remembrance. In the immediate aftermath of the attacks, the nation came together in a way that had rarely been seen before. There was a shared, heavy sense of grief, sure, but also an incredibly powerful, unbreakable sense of community. Neighbors helped neighbors. First responders from across the country dropped everything to travel to New York, the Pentagon, and Pennsylvania. That remarkable unity continues to be honored today.
I really want you to remember these words. Even in our darkest hours, the enduring strength and unity of the human spirit prevailed. Ultimately, this is what you should take away from this explainer. Yes, September 11th changed airport security, intelligence networks, and foreign policy forever. Absolutely. But it also demonstrated that even when faced with unimaginable destruction, the defining characteristic of everyday citizens and first responders was profound courage and unwavering compassion. So as we look to the future, how will the lessons and unity of that day continue to shape our world? The world before 9/11 is gone, replaced by a new normal built on the hard lessons of that Tuesday morning. By understanding exactly what happened and why, we don't just remember the thousands of lives tragically lost, we empower ourselves to build a stronger, more resilient future. Thanks for exploring this pivotal moment in history with me.